have entered the realm of dead air. For the next 2 hours, you will be transported into the world of the strange and the supernatural. You might not feel the need to cleanse your laptops or mobile devices afterwards. But it might not be a bad idea.
I was out in this beautiful weather here in sunny Florida, washing my car, using the leaf blower to blow all the leaves away, pair of shorts and how you doing up there in the New England area, Ken?
Chilly, chilly, so chilly. Getting better. Got a big
Uh,
today. Be raking leaves for you know it, digging gardens. And if you're up here in the Northeast, you know what I'm talking about.
yeah, well, you could probably talk to half the people now that are snowbirds that live down here. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show, 8 p.m., with myself, Mr. Ken DaCosta. We are simulcast with KGRADB.com, KGRA on Facebook. We are also on Facebook under Dead Air Full Spectrum. Of course, anybody with KGRA would like to see us video-wise, you can go to YouTube at Dead Air Nation. Also on Twitter, dead_spectrum. And we'll be talking about this tonight, Patreon, where we're going to be starting some really interesting things, and we'll talk about it at the top of the second hour. Patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal. Don't forget that the subscribe button is very important. If you guys are really enjoying supporting us, definitely hit that like button also. We really, really respect the support. There's hundreds of different podcasts with regards to the paranormal that you could check out, and you're here with us, and we greatly, greatly appreciate it, don't we, Ken?
Absolutely. We thank you for your continued support, which is one of the reasons that we have started a Patreon account for exclusive content for members, and you can go there and sign up right now or do it at 10 p.m. Stay where you are right now. But we talked a little bit about this the last couple of weeks, some of the things that we wanted to do video wise and interacting with our subscribers and our members. There's going to be content there that's going to include all of us. We've got some pretty unique things that we're going to do along with some standalone things. So please consider joining our Patreon membership, our Dead Air Nation. It helps the channel. It really does. It helps the channel. It helps us keep the content coming. And I hope you enjoy what we've been doing, because we're talking enough about this that we want to do more. Not only bring you talk and guests and topics like we are tonight, but we want to take deeper dives into things. So this will be exclusive content, things you might not see on the show, thoughts you might not hear on the show, and you can all be a part of that. I want to shout out real quick. Paranormal Bike is here. Tom, I don't know if that's you, but if it is, how you doing, brother? Paranormal bikers, some really cool guys.
We got Bike Week coming up down here in Daytona in another couple of weeks.
Yes, you do. I'll bet you do. And that isn't your favorite time of year. That's a festival down there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Traffic's just wonderful. I'm such a pessimist.
Oh.
Yeah, there will be some ideas that I've thrown to Ken, and we talked about it, and I'll throw it out to you guys at the beginning of the second hour with regards to our Patreon account and our Patreon subscribers that will be exclusive to you. And one of them is really controversial for me. And you may sit there and go, what are you, out of your mind? And some of you may go, oh, I'm right there with you for support. So, but we'll bring that up and address that at the top of the second hour. But Ken, tonight we have a little bit of a online, we're going to call this paranormal battle. This is two investigators enter, one investigator leaves kind of thing. But we have We have an interesting topic tonight. Why don't you tell them about it?
Yeah, well, we all know we like to get into specifics about the paranormal. We like to talk about the field, the methodologies, and the personalities, but we're also very in tune with the paranormal community and the things that people experience, people go through. And one of the things that seems to be common are people who have decided to step away from it for whatever the reason. I want to preface this by saying it's not necessarily drama. There are a lot of reasons people step away. And I think the panel we've assembled tonight is going to have a very diverse overview as far as why they took that choice. Some of them haven't left entirely, some of them just need a break. Some of them, yes, there were things like maybe some personality clashes, or the field in general is not what they thought it would be. Sometimes life happens. You know, people need to step away for the greater good, careers, homes, children, whatever. So we want to talk about all of that tonight because it is a very passionate topic and people are very invested to the point sometimes of obsession about it. But
Yeah.
every once in a while, there does come a point in someone's life that you just need to take a step back. So we're going to discuss a lot of that tonight. And if you have your comments on it or your own views on it, or maybe a quick story of your own, why it happened to you, you're welcome to share with us tonight. So I've been looking forward to this. I think this is going to be an interesting topic, and I think we're going to really dive into this a little bit deeper than just Facebook posts, things like that. I'm leaving. I've had enough. We want to ask the question why tonight. What is it about this field that's so polarizing? What is it about this field that can become so obsessive? So,
Yes, and if you're going to put your own experiences in the chat, just remember to name names.
yeah,
Always important.
right.
All right, Ken, who are our very special guests tonight in the paranormal battle?
Well, we are going to bring out, and these are all people that I know, and they are all from our. Thank you, Joanne. See, we appreciate that so much,
Yes,
sweetheart.
so
Thank
much.
you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. These are all people from the New England area, all people that I know, have known in the past, who are generous enough to share their stories with us tonight. So, in no particular order, we want to welcome John Gomes.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, John.
We want to, Sarah Jean.
Hi.
Sarah Gabranas, welcome. Charles Reese.
Hello.
And of course, everyone's favorite, Tom Stewart joins us again tonight.
Hello.
For comic relief.
Well, we'll
My
see.
Paranormal Story podcast. And Tom's going to talk a little bit tonight about why I kicked his ass out of Rise Up Paranormal.
That's right. No severance, nothing.
That's it. Nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing and like it.
Well, thank
So-
you all for joining us tonight. And as Ken had already explained, this is I guess in a sense, a roundtable of explanations. You've stepped away totally or partially from the field. And, we want to kind of just get a little bit of an insight because my opinion, this is an extremely tough field to navigate. As a personality, you want to go in there with that intent to help, whether it's residential cases or to help collectively in the field. And sometimes there are obstacles that come into view, including putting things out there, putting yourself out there, if you will, with the evidence that you collect, and immediately becoming a target of abuse from people online because they are going to either want to disprove what it is that you're doing or explain to you the logic why it is not something paranormal. And sometimes that can really bring down your self-esteem and your motivation for doing something. That's only one aspect, but the field can be critical of itself. And in certain times it should be, but not to the point in time where you're starting to turn people off from the field. But there are a myriad of other reasons why people have left from the field. But Ken, take it to you, and whatever way you want to go ahead and do this roundtable, I'll step to the
Sure,
side.
absolutely. We talked a little bit about everyone's background before the show. Like I say, we're all familiar with each other on different levels. Some of us haven't connected. Some of us, it's been a while since we have connected. So we appreciate everybody's time. I think it'll be interesting to hear different perspectives. So, John, why don't we start it off with you, and you can bat lead off for us tonight. Tell us a little bit why you felt like you had to take a step backwards, because I know you were extremely active. You did some television. I believe it was the show Haunted.
Yep.
I think that was the name of the show. Yeah. And your group was pretty well known in the area, but you decided that you just need to take a break. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how that all came about?
So what we talk about is my second team I was with at a time, Taunton Paranormal Group. We were together for about 2 years. It was a great group. We dealt with a lot of personal stuff, from regular haunts to demonics, which was interesting. We got to work with Father Bob Bailey, which was, it was amazing. We traveled. We got to do cases in upstate New York, and places like that. So in dealing with some of these cases, especially the demonics, the first time, and it's a different energy. When you're out there, you can tell that it's like more tougher, it's more extreme, and we've been attacked. There's been members who've been scratched. I've been attacked. We have YouTube shows. We had our own YouTube channel show, which shows me being attacked. I was calling out this demonic force, and but we kept doing it for about 2 years. And after the 2 years, all of us decided to disband as a group, because our founder Jake wanted to pursue more things with Father Bob Bailey, and it gave us a chance to just take a break. And around this time, it was about 2012, I wanted to take a break because the demonics did take it out on me, and it was really weekend. It's like really not like your normal regular haunting stuff. And among this time, unfortunately, my mom passed, and I had a couple things going on, and I needed to take a break. So I ended up taking a break for about I think about 2 years. And so after that, I ended up starting my own team called Fears with my good friend Carl Ways. And once again, we started doing everything all paranormal, from demonics to regular haunts, UFOs, all this fun stuff. And once again, we got into this for about 2 years, and once again, unfortunately, drama ended that team, and it was a heartbreaking situation, because I really something I enjoyed doing with my friend. He was a great friend of mine. He was my brother. And once again, I had more personal things pop up. So once again, I had to take some time off. I'm married. I got 2 kids with special needs. I got a house, like you said, Ken. I got just in today's world, things going up is kind of tough. About last November, I was thinking about getting back into the field with Carl, just us two, to start a YouTube channel show called Face to Fears, which would be some type of documentary show focusing on Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and maybe spreading out. And as in the process of we were talking to get back together, unfortunately, this past November, Carl passed away from a heart attack, and it threw me off my game. And from that point on, I had to take time off once again, just to see what direction, what to do, and just to get my life back on track, to figure out where I want to be heading. I'm still planning on doing the show right now, but right now I just got a lot of things going on. But that's my story with my groups. And it's been an adventure. I love the paranormal, and I love investigating, and this is something that I'll continue to do, and I'll definitely get back into it when the time is right. But that's my stories.
Yeah, it sounds to me, John, that your group was more geared toward extreme hauntings,
Yes,
some of the little darker elements. And a lot of times when you're in that situation, it wears on you a little bit. In your case, you had some interactions physically that must have been, a little bit unnerving. You say you have kids, so, that's one reason that we talked about. Sometimes people have bad experiences on investigations, and it has nothing necessarily to do with fear. You just don't want to kind of take that on all the time. So now maybe with the next iteration of what you're going to do, maybe you still delve into that, or more, maybe you just kind of step away a little bit. I don't want to say there's anything as like the normal haunting or anything like that, because these are all, pretty crazy things that we deal with, but, a little less negativity, because, that can certainly affect you emotionally and psychologically. So I get that. I want to move on to Sarah. Sarah, welcome. Why don't you give us a little bit of your background and why you just decided to call a timeout?
Sure. All right. So I started from a really, really, really young age. My uncle was he passed away a couple years ago, but his name was Jim Cook, and he was on Mark Nesbitt, who was the Ghost of Gettysburg. He was on
Yep.
his team. So I got to go down there, learn a little bit about ghost hunting with them, go around the fields and stuff. It was really amazing. Then I ended up I was mutual friends with Steve from the show Ghost Hunters. I had a lot of mutual friends. We ran like in the same like music scene and everything. A lot of our friends were friends and stuff. I ended up getting involved in his group, New England Paranormal. So he
Which
was doing
Which was Steve Gonsalves' original team.
his original team, like out
you
of
were
like
the co-founder, right? Okay.
yeah. I wasn't a co-founder. I was a co-director. So he founded it,
That
and
sounds more
then
important.
years later, I ended up coming in a couple years later, and I ended up being co-director, helping out with everything. I was case manager for a while before that, and then I ended up going on. And it was an amazing experience. Like so like season about 2 and 3 of Ghost Hunters, whenever they were like talking about like residential haunts and stuff, and saying that, oh, we'll send somebody back. A lot of those cases I actually got to go back to, which was really cool.
Mhm.
So I got to go to a lot of those cases. I got to know a lot of those people and everything. And honestly, I'm still friends with a lot of them. So I ended up getting pregnant when I was the baby would have been 14 years old now. Well, almost 14 years old. I ended up having a lot of issues, and I ended up losing the baby. I had something called HELP syndrome. I ended up in full-blown eclamptic seizures. My blood pressure was 285 over 110. So I almost died. The baby unfortunately did die. I did end up getting to the hospital in time to save my life. We ended up I ended up having a lot of swelling on my brain. So now I have a lot of times where the swelling happens, ends up happening like in the back of your skull, where it's like where like your occipital nerve, like where you see things. So I now have some damage there where I actually can't drive at night. So I kind of had to step away from the paranormal. I had to take care of my own stuff. I had almost died. I ended up having medical issues after that for years. I'm still dealing with some of the medical issues. And now I can't drive at night, so I can't really ghost hunt, because they usually drive at night to ghost hunt. So I can't really do that. But now I have a family. I have 2 girls.
Thank God.
my daughter, who was in here a little bit earlier before we went on air, she's 11, almost 12. Hi, Ella. I know she's watching. I know she's not going to bed yet.
Yeah, Ella came on before we went on air, and she popped in, and yeah, she's going to be a star someday.
She's
already a star.
I love her. And then there's also Aria, who's 4. So I got my hands full. And we have a whole bunch of animals, and my husband likes to travel for work and everything. So yeah, we have our hands full. So going back into the paranormal, I don't think I really could handle it at this point. Like, it was never like a bad experience. Like, yeah, there was always drama in the field and everything, but it was like, with my experience, it was mainly good. Like, like still talking to the people sometimes. Like I ran into Steve at a book signing, and he pictured me out of everybody at the book signing. He comes over to me, "Oh my God, Sarah," and goes and gives me a big, huge hug. Like, it was just a really positive experience.
And everybody gives you this and turns around and looks.
yeah. It was like, yeah, they're like, "Whoa, who's that?" It was awesome. And then I ran into a bunch of them afterwards and got to meet a bunch of people. They've all just been really sweet to me.
Okay, quick question for you. Do you think involvement with the paranormal going forward would be a tough thing, like emotionally or psychologically, with you in some way? Because obviously, and I mean, I speak for everybody, sending all our thoughts to you, because you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Do you maybe not need that? Is that a little bit melodramatic, where, you don't need that as far as where you are right now and just taking care of Sarah?
So for years, I have PTSD from it. For years, it was kind of hard for me to like step back in that. And I really did kind of have to take my way away from it, because it was like, I'd get really upset and stuff. But really, the only thing that bothers me now, and it almost makes me want to help more, is like kid spirits, like little kids and stuff. That bothers me. Like moms that died in childbirth, things like that. That has like a place in my heart, definitely. Mm-hmm. But like other stuff doesn't really bother me. I've gone a lot of places, like with my family and stuff. My daughter's actually getting into ghost hunting, but I've gone a couple places and I like it. But then I see all the drama that happens in the paranormal field, and it's like, do I want to dive back into that or not? Because like, I had a great.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. I know Tom will probably weigh on this too. I mean, in starting a group, we always wanted to be, we said, we're going to be the good guys. Okay, we're not going to, but somewhere along the line, somebody will take you and drag you in, kicking and screaming, to the drama, whether you deserve it, earned it, or part of it or not. So I want to talk a little bit about that later, but I want to move on to Charles. And Charles is an interesting guy, because Charles travels. Charles is a writer. And I know that he's had a pretty keen interest in the paranormal, but Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, you're kind of teetering right now on whether or not you want to continue this, or have you just hung up the sign right now, we're closed?
I'm teetering, leaning more towards hanging up a sign saying we're closed. I started about 15 years ago. Some people might remember a YouTube series called Creepy Places of New England, which then
Still have the t-shirt, brother.
I'm glad you do. So do I. And I did another sort of spin-off called Creepy Places Global. Now, obviously, being on a YouTube show, one of the things it was fun for the longest time. I mean, it was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, I'm guessing. It was fun, but then there was a lot of harassment online. Surprisingly, a lot of, considering that it was all about paranormal stuff, a lot of stuff with
we're going to stick a pin in that too.
Yeah. Racism, bigotry, homophobia, transphobia. I've been called end-loving scumbag. For stuff I posted because I went to Connecticut one time. I've gotten death threats, and I've also been exposed to other YouTube channels, and a lot of them were faking evidence, but you couldn't say nothing because their fans would come after you and give you death threats. I mean, I know nowadays everybody gets a death threat for over anything, but it kind of really wore on my brains a little bit. And so I decided, in terms of creepy places, that's gone. I'm never doing that again. Steve and my co-host at the time, Steve, and I had a falling out, but this was after we decided to stop doing it, so it really had nothing to do with it. But I have no desire to revitalize creepy places. But then I joined up with Ocean State Paranormal. I'm sort of involved. I'm just kind of like, I just like to help out because I actually just like hanging out with Buddy a lot. He's actually a really cool dude, and I just really would go on stuff with him because I just like hanging out with him a lot. But honestly, part of the reason, and so why I'm really stepping back from and probably eventually just leave the paranormal is after, I've traveled a lot, as you know, France, England, Switzerland, Germany, and going to Hungary later on this year and stuff like that. And I'm trying to tread lightly here. How can I say this without, everybody has their own personal belief system, and I get that, and I always respect people's belief systems, but I don't believe in stuff like demons, angels, God, the devil. I don't believe in heaven and hell or any of that stuff. And I find that that's becoming, back in the old days, it was a bit more separated. Now it's becoming like intertwined. And I'm fearing that people are using, especially demonic stuff, to ignore alcoholism, mental illness, domestic violence, drug abuse. And I'm finding that it's becoming a bit too common, and it's becoming, I'm becoming uncomfortable with that being in it. That's eventually, I think I am just going to completely step away. Maybe when I don't want to hang out with Buddy anymore, or I annoy him or something.
The comments of our guests do not reflect those of Dead Air staff members, management, or ownership.
He just hit you with a disclaimer, Charles. Jeez, I can't believe it. But the thing is, and we'll get into this a little bit on the second go around with everybody. You have other things in your life, Charles, and I want to talk about, we'll stick a pin in this too, where being involved in the paranormal community doesn't define who you are. And that's always been a thing with me. It's like, earlier I used to be known as the baseball guy because I coached for many, and that's fine. I identified with that. And then you become the ghost guy, and that's fine. You identify with that too. But I don't think that I want it to define me so much. And I know that you travel and you write, and there's other things that you love to be involved with. So, a lot of people will miss your presence if you take that next step. But, you're going to be just fine. You're going on to something else that you love. And I think that a lot of people need to understand that you need more than this. But moving on to Tom, you can tell them why I threw you out of Rise Up Paranormal. And to this day, we have no relationship with each other whatsoever. And you're here because we ran out of people. So,
yeah, that's it. Honestly, I don't know how you put up with me. I don't know how you didn't throw me out. You had a lot of patience, my friend.
No, Tom, you were one of the best.
Well, I appreciate that.
I love your objectivity, your skepticism, you're willing to question conventional theory, all of that. Mm-hmm. It's one of the big reasons that you were, an asset to all of us.
Well, I appreciate it. And right back at you. You've always been more than a friend. You've been a mentor. But for me, my story, my passion is part of the reason why I had to get away from it. I've been investigating the paranormal since I was a young teen in one way or another. And I wasn't doing it in an organized way until I joined Rise Up Paranormal. And for a good few years there, at least, we were going hard. Ken, you can back me up in this. 2008, 2009, 2010. I mean, we were doing dozens and dozens of private investigations, going to historical locations, places that were huge. We're talking forts and bases and all kinds of things and all kinds of. I mean, it was just a lot of work that we were doing. We were going hard. And, for a good 2 or 3 years, I was investigating, I was case managing, I was reviewing evidence, I was promoting the group, I was trying to find us places to investigate. And, at one point, my life started to change too. I had gotten a new job that was early mornings during the week. And then I was trying to stay up late investigating on the weekends. So, it was taking a physical and mental toll on me. And, it was getting to a point where I wasn't able to make it to certain investigations, or I didn't review the evidence I said I was going to review. And it was starting to get unfair to the other people on the team. And I realized that. So that was part of the reason. But another part of it was my passion. And just, I really took the paranormal field of research very seriously. And it would offend me on a personal level when I would see other teams popping up doing things that were bad for all of us. And it was happening a lot back then because 09, 08, 2010, everybody and their brother had a paranormal team and everybody wanted to be doing it. And a lot of people were just trying to get famous for doing it. They all wanted to get their own TV show. And, and I was seeing online a lot of these groups going around, going into people's homes, investigating, and then putting it on the internet without their permission. They're going to people's homes. They're in there for 10 minutes and they're telling them it's a demon without even really investigating it. Just doing really damaging stuff like that. And some of them were charging money. And it really just really aggravated me. And it got to the point where I was becoming part of that toxic feeling online. I was fighting with people, I was arguing with people, telling them that's not evidence, you're making that up or whatever. And it was just getting to that point. And I even had one woman try to cancel me before cancel culture. She was so mad at me for calling her out on her bullshit online that she started calling my place of work, pretending to be complaining about me to see if she could get me fired as revenge for me calling her out online. And so it was a real combination of all those things that made me just say, I need to step back. I need to get away from it. It's not good for me. It's not good for my relationships, mentally and physically. It was taking a toll. And I stepped back for a little while, but, and the paranormal is going to be a part of my life in one way or another forever. And so I kind of just took a little break and just started doing other things that I have found that were more helpful to the field. I started consulting for people, which meant, a friend of a friend would be like, hey, talk to my friend Tom. He can help you if you have a situation at your house. And I would talk to them. I would email them. I would talk to them on the phone. I would kind of guide them onto what things they could or couldn't do at home to help, their things get better. I started my podcast where I was telling my stories and trying to educate people within the stories, explain some of the theories, explain some of the things that we're doing, how the tools work, things like that. And then I wrote a book during the pandemic about how to investigate, what tools we use, what the best tools are to use. So I kind of took all that energy and kind of put it in a different direction so that I could still help the field of research and be part of it. And, occasionally I get called in from the bullpen and get to help out on investigations too. So I still get out a little bit. I still don't have the time to do it because I've got I'm a stand-up comedian now. So I'm usually working every weekend, just to put food on the table. So, so I don't get to do it as much as I'd like. But I still love the paranormal field and still hope to see it successfully answer some questions someday.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think that we can see all of you here, and it's not just a cookie cutter reason. Life happens. Sometimes with people it just simply runs its course. There are a lot of reasons why people step away from this. To go around again, we started with John, so we'll start with Sarah this time and go back around. Sarah, I want to ask how much of what goes on with the dynamics of people? And I want to start with you because you've had a good experience with personalities. You're aware of, you know, the different things that go on, but you didn't leave it on a bad terms on a personal level with anybody. So let me just get to this. I said we'd stick a pin in it. How much is social media, because Tom was just talking about, how much is social media really inflamed this whole thing? Because what I really want to discuss and get into with you guys is why. Like, why do people get so bent out of shape? Why do people go on the attack? Because we've seen it now. YouTube is a thing where how you get clicks and likes is to character assassinate other people, because that's what people are looking for. We could bring out an alien on this show. Okay. The first time we're going to show you an alien. He's coming right through that door behind me. And if we put, I hate so-and-so or something like that, I guarantee we'd get more attention for that. So I don't know. Let's just get this out of the way. Elephant in the room real quick. What is it about social media right now that's just making everybody, you know, because now if I have a problem with someone, okay, I have a problem. Now I can go tell 5,000 people about my problem and everybody chooses sides. So I don't know how active you are in it, Sarah, but, you know, just some thoughts maybe.
So I started seeing about, okay, so I'm going to age myself, but I kind of got out of it when MySpace was still a thing. And I don't even think I had a Facebook. Like, so, but I remember on the forums and stuff, people just like attacking you. And then like, I would go on to some of them and try to defend like things that went on and everything. And it was like, what's the point? No matter what you say to these people, they're going to argue with you. And it was like, I guess I was able to see it in like almost like its infancy of like the really, really horrible fighting online. But I mean, I got, even back with me, like my phone number was one of the only ones listed. I got people calling me at like 3 a.m. trying to get other people's phone numbers. I had like, and then like I would get threats online and everything. But I had fan fiction written about me. I'm not even on a show.
Death threats.
It was weird. It was, but it's like, I almost think people feel some sort of like good about themselves to try to put somebody else down, and so they try to talk. They try to talk bad about somebody to almost bring themselves up, or to put this person down almost to their level. And like I've been dealing a lot with that also with my daughter, with just not even paranormal stuff, but just in general online preteens. Like, right?
I mean, you think of why you got into this in the first place, and the next thing you know, you blink, and somebody's sending you a death threat.
Yeah, like I honestly, like I got in it to help people. I got in it because people were so afraid of ghosts, so afraid of what was going on at that time. At that time, it wasn't. There weren't a million different shows. There people were truly afraid. They were like contacting us, afraid we would get a lot of the things that like the people didn't want to go on TV, so we'd end up getting something. So I got personally with paranormal, I was able to bring a lot off. Then like off screen, and I was able to help people, which was the reason I was in it. Now it almost seems like I don't go on things too much and see what people are talking about, because honestly, ignorance is bliss. Honestly, but I don't see too many things going on, because I honestly don't look, but I hear about it, and I hear some of the things that these people have been having to go through and defending themselves, and like people attacking them, like groups of people attacking them, like tons and tons of messages and everything. And I think that's horrible. I think it's disgusting, honestly.
Yeah. John, what about, I mean, why is it that people get themselves into a frenzy about this? Because, you know, a lot of people that are doing this have alphanumeric titles, you know, Kitty Cat J752610. It's not like they're out there saying, John Smith, this is who I am. This is what I have to say. You know, there's so much anonymity. So, I mean, keyboard warriors are not a new thing. They happen in every walk of life. This is what the internet has wrought to us right now. What is it, though, about the paranormal that it seems to, I mean, look at what we're doing. All right. I mean, let's reduce it to, I know there's more to it than this, believe me. We're chasing ghosts. We're trying to either prove or disprove their existence, right? I mean, what are we doing out there that, so I could see if I invented a cure for something that killed 50,000 people, you know, but what is it about this field that gets everybody's goat and just sends them off like cannibalizing each other here?
I think jealousy is one thing, because one group is doing good in the area, another group is not doing so good, and like, oh, how come they're doing so good? We have certain connections, like my Talking Paranormal. We were able to get a YouTube channel, and we had one of the episodes called on national TV, which was that Animal Planet's The Haunted, and the demonic seductress, and we were able to get on TV for that one. And people were trying to say to us, like, oh, no, you're just doing it to get famous. You're doing this to get rich. That's not the case. You know, we're doing it to help. And so I think I see people competing out there, like, oh, I can do better evidence than you. I do this and do that. And it's not right. You know, they're hiding, attacking people. I've gotten attacks where some of the places I got to investigate, Lizzie Borden house, I had the opportunity to investigate. And another group was bad because they tried to get in there. They couldn't get in there, but I got in there. And so, oh, how come your group got in there? Because we were in the right time, right spot, and we were able to know people, and we were able to get in there. And then I posted some of the evidence I caught on Facebook at a time, and they began attacking. Oh, that's fake. That's fake. I said, no, this is real stuff. I don't post fake things, make fun of my group and stuff. You know.
I want to jump in on you real quick, John, and I'm going to let you go on. I'm going to do a Kanye. I'm going to let you go, Taylor. But back then, in fairness, everybody was trying to get on television. You know, if we're talking, Sarah, what was it, like 2004, right? When this, you know, Ghost Hunters first came on, 5, 6, 7,
like
8.
that. I came in 2005 into any piece, and I think that they were on. So yeah, probably 2004.
Yeah, but back then, John, everybody was trying to get on TV. Okay, and there's a lot of times I saw people, all sorts of people that I knew personally that were either on My Ghost Story or they were on this and that and the other thing. So how can I sit there and, like, I'm not, you know, any better than him? How can I sit there and just say, oh, hey, there's John. John's on TV. That, you know, that's kind of cool. Where other people just look at you and they go, huh, look at John's on TV. You know, I understand that people were trying to, everybody thought they were going to get a TV show back then. And for those who maybe don't remember, trust us, it was freaking crazy. It really was. Has that ebbed a little bit, or has things like YouTube sort of just taken over for TV now? Because it seems like everybody's got something going on out there.
I think YouTube's more accessible. Anybody can grab a camera. Anybody can go out there and just start filming and post things on YouTube. I think it's more easier. And like I said, I've been working on trying to get a YouTube channel if I get back into this. But anybody could do it, you know. But that's the thing is anybody could do it, and it's more easier to get on YouTube. But that's the thing is what you post on YouTube. You know, going out there, thrill seeking, or getting a group together, going these places that's supposed to be haunted and stuff, and then posting stuff on the video online, you know. But I think the YouTube thing's definitely more accessible that way, and I think anybody can do it that way.
Yeah. And Charles, you know, we've heard this a lot of times that somebody out in Iowa does something stupid, you know, sets fire to an historic place. And I always used to hear, well, it makes the rest of us look bad. And I always was like, how the hell does it make the rest of us look bad? You know, my answer to that is, I don't know, just do it better. But what is it, again, in your mind? Because you're kind of, I mean, you're a thinker, you're a writer, you examine things. What is it about this particular pursuit? If you want to call it a field, that's fine. What is it about this particular pursuit? Is it a lack of, how do I want to put this? Is it a lack of structure, a lack of rules, a lack of, you know, some kind of universal code for it? What is it about this field that just makes maybe otherwise good people just go at each other?
Well, in my personal experience, I've kind of seen a lot of this in different areas, not just ghost hunting. I mean, especially in pop culture in general. Star Wars is one horrendous one where it's like toxicity. But in my opinion, it's people do not like their belief system challenged or changed, and that drives people crazy, whether it's religious belief, political beliefs, pop culture beliefs. You know, the earth is flat, the earth is round. You know, you could be quite surprised on how angry people get. And I do think because a lot that goes on in the paranormal field is very subjective and massive open for interpretation, people get this idea in their head, and don't you dare challenge me, because if you challenge me, you're a hater. You know, you can't say that's just, you know, that picture you present that you say is a ghost in the window is real, when reality is just sunlight reflecting off the window. You say anything, you're just trying to tear him down or them down or her down, whatever. I'm not really calling out any particular person. And so I just think people just don't like to be challenged. And I kind of get it. I've presented evidence where I learned that I messed up, except the only thing is I just buck up and accept it that I messed up. But, you know, I find that most people do not do that at all. And like I said, I've seen it in so many areas. It's kind of getting kind of unnerving.
No, you're right. And what happens a lot of times, let's call it for what it is. If it was Joe Schmo and Schmo Paranormal out somewhere in Montana, nondescript, who cares? No one's going to go after them. But if you're a name or you've built a presence for yourself, those are the people that everybody goes after because they just ride in that gravity. Like if I come out, I'm going to tell you why, you know, I don't know who, you know, Chris Hemsworth or, you know, Meryl Streep. I'm going to, you know, dish on them. You know, when I decide I'm going to dish on some dinner theater actor, nobody's going to care. It could be 50 times as salacious what they're doing, but people like to ride the names on this. You know, and we see that a lot, and it's a cottage industry in itself. So, Tom, it seems like you're kind of on that thing where you had other things going on in your life that you kind of had to move away from for the greater good. Good of the group, good of yourself. But then during that time, your passion for it, you know, caused a lot of issues on the internet, you know, and, you know, I promise we're going to like get off of the internet pretty soon but I can't help but go there because that's the basis of this show. You know, it's the things we see that people are doing to each other. You know, I mean, so we saw this maybe coming. the late 90s, and now it's something much different than we thought it was going to be. And like Charles said, it's in every walk of life, Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans, God forbid if you go away from canon, but how much does this play into the idea where people now can go public with their gripes, start naming names, start naming locations, and like you said, a woman tried to cancel you, but we see it all the time now, which is why we're talking tonight.
Yep. It's just the internet's a crazy place. It's the wild, wild west, and it's so toxic. I mean, first of all, Charles, I just want to say Han Solo shot first. There's no debating it. You know what? The internet gave humans something they've never had, which is a voice that everybody can hear. And now we all feel like we need to have something to say. And we all have to take a position, and we all have to get that endorphin hit from saying something that sounds smarter than what the last person said and everything. And I got caught up in it too. And, I'm guilty. I mean, I kind of disguised it as, I'm helping the paranormal field by explaining why orbs aren't ghosts. But really, I was secretly looking for that conflict. I was looking for someone to say, no, I saw my, grandmother's face in it, zoom in on it or something. And then I go into all the details of that. And it was like, I have this knowledge now and I wanted to share it. And that was the way I would try to find to share it. And that's what I think a lot of people do. There's a lot of jealousy in it. And there's a lot of envy. People do want to be famous in this field. I don't know if it's as bad now as it was, because I really don't pay attention much. But back then, everybody wanted to be the next ghost hunters or the next ghost adventures. And it didn't require a lot. It didn't require a lot of talent like you would if you wanted to be a musician or an actor. It didn't take looks like if you wanted to be a model or something.
For it,
They
were casting for these shows.
Oh, they were casting, yeah. And they would look for certain things, but it wasn't like you needed to have a Brad Pitt kind of look to you. You just had to be appealing. So it was, you felt like you had a chance. I could be a paranormal investigator. If those guys can do it, I can do it.
I got offered a couple shows because I was a girl.
Yeah. Yep. So I don't know. I just think it was a phenomenon from television that really got people eager to like, hey, I want to be the next one who's discovered. If Jason Hawes can make it on TV, I can make it on TV. I think that's what a lot of people were thinking.
Hey, what the hell is that supposed to be?
Jason,
I'm Jay Hawes,
a very handsome man.
If you can do it, anybody can do it.
But
Jason,
he came off as a regular guy. He was a plumber. He was a plumber during the day and a ghost hunter at night. And that was kind of the message. You know what I mean? That, hey, just a regular person can become famous for doing this. And so I feel like there was a lot of envy going on. And the internet was where people got to voice that, and people would fight with each other over the silliest things. And I don't know, I imagine they must still do it. I just don't, it's probably not as big a fad as it once was. But that's my theory on the whole thing.
Yeah. Now I want to bring George back in because we're coming to the top of the hour. We're going to be going to break. Quick thing for you, Sarah, to take us into the break. Now, when you walked away, it was for other reasons, but the people you were closest to, the people you were worked with, you parted on good terms. But yet total strangers would like send death threats to you.
Yeah.
Which is the most bizarre thing. It's like I can see people like have this inner turmoil going on within the group, and that happens all the time. But no, you walk away on very good terms with the people that you did these things with, but somebody who you'll never meet in your life has something awful to say about you. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I think it's almost like they see people on TV and stuff as famous, as almost an untouchable, like, oh, I can say whatever I want about them. They're not real people, but they are real people. And some of them do see the comments and stuff. And I think that was a lot of it. And having this show and like this little niche group of people that kind of understood what was going on behind the scenes and stuff we did talk a lot, like in between ourselves, of the crazy stuff going on that you didn't want others to know about, because you were afraid if it got out, more people would be doing the crazy things to you. So it kind of brought us like trust in each other.
Well, I mean, Steve kind of broke away, although he still, had the group, but he broke away, became a star. It's like, how come you didn't lose your mind over that?
I actually came in after he was on the show, but I still used to talk to him a lot. I'd run into him at the club all the time. Like he was a drummer in a band that my husband was in a drummer with in another band, and they had a bass player that played in both of their bands. Like,
cool. George, what do we got? We got a couple of minutes here. If you got anything real quick, because I'm going to kind of make our announcements in the second half and sort of, let you come in and raise hell with people.
I'm pretty sure that the Han Solo shooting was CGI. It was put in after the original, and that's where the controversy comes into play. Same with that dress that is purple and orange. That whole argument that went on. I mean, that became heated. It's one of those situations that we just try to find ourselves reason and rationale. The one privilege I think that both Ken and I have, and probably Charles has gone through it enough too, is that you get to a certain age where you just don't give a shit. And
Charles is only 26, so
yeah, I wish.
We find ourselves in a scenario where these attacks may come about one day, perhaps for dead air, and we'll be like, bring it on. What more damage can you do to us? We're old, no big deal. But we are going to continue our show after our break. So you guys stay with us, and we'll continue with our panel at that point in time. But we got some big announcements coming up after the break. You're watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. We'll be back right after this.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you would like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
Did you know 75% of Americans...
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
just checking my social media. Trigger Happy Han Solo is trending right now.
Oh, I thought you was looking for a death threat or something.
That'll come later, I'm sure. Welcome back to the show, our second hour tonight with our panel of guests on the topic of why did I leave the paranormal. We'll get back to our guests here in just a second, but we've got some exciting news that Ken, you want to go ahead and tell everybody what's going on, what we're going to be doing, and what's happening?
Yeah, if you missed the very beginning of the show, we have created a Patreon page for everyone, for members only, where you get content behind the scenes, things that we talk about, and some content you won't see on the show that's geared to you, because we do appreciate your support so much. I know everybody says that, but we seriously do. For you inviting us into your homes every Sunday night and listening and watching to the different programming we have. We'd like to do something a little bit different. And the best part about it, it's cheap because we're cheap, so we don't have 11,000 tiers or anything like that. We're going to start this from grassroots and get content out there and invite you to participate in it. We've talked about this before, where we're going to bring you on screen with us if you so desire. And a lot of members of our Dead Air family will always have a surprise or two. We'll be doing some reaction videos. We may be doing some live things here on our Patreon. We may do
uncensored, unfiltered,
absolutely.
candid, because Bill Forte won't let us curse very much on this channel.
That's right. So George may do some spirit box sessions. We may take you on a rise up investigation. We are going to give you our absolute best to keep you involved and entertained. And of course, we'll be our usual stoic selves and not use humor or off-color jokes at all, because we're distinguished gentlemen.
Yeah, we're going to break that rule real quick. I can tell you that.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
It's you're going to get your money's worth, to say the least. But as Ken said, a couple of the ideas we've been toying with is reaction videos to whether it be people's postings of paranormal events that have taken place, maybe even some movies that are antiquated, older, 40s and 50s. You never know what we're going to come up with. But there are two certain things right now. One, I'm just getting the speakers for it, is to do a sort of a dueling banjos, having set up my Frank's box and my trusty, loyal, antiquated spirit box, my Shack Hack, that has performed miracles in the past. And I want to see whether or not we can connect to those spirits again and maybe interact with our viewers. So we'll do something like that live. The second one, I revealed it to Ken. Was it today on the phone or yesterday?
I'm pretty sure it was this morning. Yeah,
this morning. And
second cup of coffee deal.
Yeah, he didn't give me a blessing, but he also didn't turn it away. But I want to know what you guys in the chat think about me doing this. Those of you who have been watching us here on Dead Air for quite some time know about my story about Curse City and the night terrors that have ensued since then. Had just had another recent attack recently. We talked about it on the air, and I always go to Ken first. What do you think? This is what's been going on. However, it all stemmed from going into a closet in the father's house at Curse City, which we were absolutely sure was a portal, a doorway, and going in there, closing the door, and saying something that prompted these events to start taking place with me. Basically, I said, "Show me where you come from," and it just opened up this horrible world that I've been experiencing ever since. Well, I'm convinced that the closet in my bedroom also has a portal. I think that's where the access is coming into my home when I'm having these night terrors. I am thinking about doing journals in there, the skeleton journals, where I'm going to go in there with the door closed and try to communicate once again. I'm taking a risk. I understand that. But we all understand in this field that there is risk involved. Just ask John. Absolutely risk involved. But I'm willing to put myself out there to see if I can't get some answers. And whether or not I do this in a pre record or I do this live with an audience remains to be seen. But I'd like to know what you all think in the chat. Is this something that you would be interested in viewing and watching on our Patreon account? Now, one of the reasons why, again, I'm not out there very often, and Ken, you can click our guests back onto the screen again, but one of the reasons why is, as again, a lot of our regular viewers know, is I take care of my soon-to-be 90-year-old father full time. He lives with me. The rest of the family lives on the west coast of Florida, so he is priority number one. Well, I can't take trips and go out and investigate. It's hard for me to even take an evening away in case he needs me. I mean, last May he fell. He had 4 fractured vertebrae, triple fracture of his right pelvis. Recuperated amazing. He's Korean War tough, but still needs help, obviously, at that age. So it's hard for me to get back into the field. There were other reasons prior to me taking care of him that had me back off in the field also, but that's for another time or maybe later in the show. But I do want what you guys would tell me is something that would be a fascination to you, the skeleton journals, things that I would be doing at home to see whether or not I can communicate through this portal that I'm experiencing here at home. So I'd like your thoughts on that. Panel, welcome back to the show. Thank you guys again for your joining us and your stories tonight. And I would like to start off real quick, Ken. I know you had questions for them still, and I think we have
Comments, yeah.
a couple in there. I'll leave you for the comments first. I'll get back to my question, Ken. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. I just want to get these out of the way. ERRT Radio, this is Ron. If they required us to get a certificate like a diploma, college degree, would this make a lot of people quit? I have so many thoughts on this, but I'm going to turn it over to the panel. What do you guys think? Should there be some type of certifications, requirements, licensing to do with being a paranormal investigator? Is it feasible? I mean, might be a cool thing, but is it feasible?
No.
It's
not a trade. It's not something, it's not like being a plumber or a carpenter or something like that. I mean, we're all just kind of imitating what the people do on TV, and they're kind of imitating the people that they read about or heard about before them. So I don't think anybody's really qualified to certify somebody. There are people out there doing it, but I don't think they should be.
What about a license? What do you guys think about a license? I mean, you need a license for fishing. You need a license for hunting.
Who would regulate that?
Yeah, and what are they regulating?
Well, in the sense, responsibility would be paramount. You're going to go into residential homes.
Mm-hmm.
Your conduct is key. So they would have to lay out a certain format for anybody going in. Of course, no theft, no fighting, things of that sort. But even regulate whether or not you're going to go in there and talk spiritual. You're a data collector. That is what we are supposed to be when we go out there in the field. We're supposed to collect and provide the information. It's like if you're an exterminator with your license, you go out there and you say, yes, you have pests. No, you do not have pests based upon what we've researched. Should be in the same aspect. It shouldn't be somebody going in with pesticides and going, the power of Christ compels you, It shouldn't be in that format. That could be something that's different, but again, licensing this would at least put, what am I supposed to do into some sort of written form? rather than just wing it based upon what television show was their favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Charles, as an attorney, what do you say?
I think the problem with licensing and certifications is generally you would have to go through government agencies to get proper licensing. And by doing that, you're going to make the government indicate that ghosts exist. And, this, again, nothing against people's personal beliefs, but we do not have solid evidence that ghosts do exist.
We can't find out if UFOs are...
Yeah, but wait a minute. Is there anybody on this panel who has absolute certainty that ghosts don't exist? Is there anybody on this panel who hasn't had an experience that to this day they can't explain?
Raise your hands.
That's
well,
the point.
Here's my... I want to throw something at John on this, and then I want to move on to another comment. If we have not proven, Charles, you're there. If we have not proved definitively that ghosts exist, we may know better, okay, because of our experiences. If the legal system does not recognize ghosts as something tangible, then it's not actionable, right? So if you violate any of the conditions, there has to be repercussions, right? If you take a small fish, you take too many fish, whatever, there are fines and repercussions for it. If you don't recognize ghosts as an actionable offense, then there's nothing really legally that they can do. I mean, we've seen court cases on this, the Glatzel case, the Warrens, Connecticut. We've seen this where people end up getting their asses sued. Let's just call it how it is. The devil made me do it defense. John, do you ever think, maybe you have a different perspective on this? Maybe you'd love to see, because the paranormal field is we're all the same. Nobody's better than anybody else, unlike every other walk of life where someone does something a little bit. I'm a better roofer. I'm a better plumber. I'm a better carpenter, right? Not in the paranormal field. Nobody's better than anybody else. So, I mean, what do you think about that? Is it wishful thinking to licensing and certifications and things?
Yeah, I think it is because, like you said, how do we do it? It's easy to say one thing compared to proving something else. Even you proving something, people saying, "Oh, is that real? Is it fake?" Someone could fake pictures, someone could fake EVPs and stuff like that, or experiences. I go there and say, "Oh my gosh, I had this incredible experience." So I think it's kind of tough. I mean, I would love to see it because maybe it would be better, but at the same time, it's getting it done. Like, how do we get it done?
Yeah. I want to move on to one more comment and leave you in George's capable hands here. Our good friend, Chris Spinney Andrade, we love Chris. Thanks for tuning in tonight. People still have to realize that the living are a lot scarier than the dead. True that. Especially when you are, I think this is lied about behind your back, so the person spreading the lies can advance in the field. So I want to leave you with that and then bring George back in. Ambition. We talk about jealousy and all this, the 7 deadly sins. Ambition can be a very destructive thing too. Ambition normally is, hey, listen, being an ambitious person, wanting to better yourself, all the rest of this, it's fine. It's part of life. But sometimes ambitions can cloud the mind a little bit and lead to a lot of this, sort of disruption in the force, if you will, that we are into paranormal. So I would like you very much to, if you want to, kind of weigh in on that, where maybe someone in a group of people just tends to go off somewhere and everybody maybe isn't willing to follow them. So it's time to just, I didn't sign up for this. In other words, I want to have a good time doing this, answer my questions. I get it. I'll be there. I'll be on the investigations. But now when you're just starting to go in a different direction, it's not for me. And with that, you can kick it around. I'm going to disappear for a little while. We'll be back later.
Sarah, you want to take that?
Huh? So what do you want? What?
What Ken said.
Yeah, I wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
I think he was trying to say
Oh
something.
my
about
goodness,
being
yeah.
ambitious.
Welcome, Seth. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You know, I'm going to go kick my own ass right now.
Ken's voice can be a little hypnotizing, though. So
No, I heard. So the kids upstairs are running. Well, one of the kids upstairs is running around with the dog. I don't know if you guys can
No.
hear it, but
no.
very distracting.
Well, I'll take it then, Sarah, because I heard most of it. I think ambition can sometimes become obsession. And I think people are, or at least at one time, they were very anxious to become the next hot thing in the paranormal field in this world of entertainment. So I
Right.
feel like a lot of them were willing to lie about things or fake things or backstab people or whatever they had to do. Some people just wanted it fast. And something that I've realized is that if you just do this well and stick to your principles, you might find yourself having some of those things that you wanted in the beginning. You know, you might have a presence online. You might have a YouTube channel that people watch. You might have a book that people will buy or a podcast people will download. But, you know, a lot of it is just staying true to yourself and staying true to being, you know, a good person, a moral person, and those things will happen. But a lot of people just want it right away. They don't want to put in the time. So they'll resort to some deceiving things.
There was a time in this field, Tom, that I would have agreed with you. Look, you know, dead air has been around for almost 16 years now, doing this on different platforms. And over that time, I mean, there was a point in time in this field where we were competing with Coast to Coast and Darkness Radio. We were having the Jason Hawes and Chip Coffees and Grant Wilsons and Nick Rolfs coming onto the show. Ben Hansen calling in on the road, just happened to be listening in on his phone and just called just to say hello while he was getting gas at the gas station. It was just really a peak thing. And a lot of it stemmed from the fact that the time it put in, and this was even prior to Ken joining us on Dead Air, was building rapport, not only with those individuals of notoriety in the field, but it was also establishing a reputation within the community, going to these haunted locations and having them saying that was the greatest evidence we've ever had. We want to post that picture up. We want to post that video up. And they were glad to have us. Today, in this field, you go to a haunted location, you say you were pushed, you were scratched. Oh my God, I think. And it just, as long as you can get those viewers in, man, that's where your notoriety comes into play. Within the community, those people are a laughing stock. Agreed?
For the most part, yeah.
It's within the social community that they are exploding. And within the social community, there is revenue. There's not really revenue in what we do. The labor, the time that we put in, the sacrifices that we make, that we do out of a passion, out of a love for this field, somebody else has hijacked for profit and has just run with it. And, that to me is a disservice to what it is that we have laid the brickwork for the last decade and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody
yeah,
want to try
that's where it's come to now, is that it's and from what I can tell from my observation, paranormal has become more of a genre of entertainment than it is research. You know, when we all got started in it, we wanted to research. We either wanted to help people or we wanted to move the research forward, or both in many cases. And now there's a generation of people who have grown up knowing nothing but paranormal entertainment. You know,
I remember. Sorry, keep going.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I remember when I first was like getting involved with it as an adult. I didn't tell people that I was a ghost hunter. I didn't tell them I was a paranormal investigator because that was weird. Mm-hmm. Now it's like like my daughter at her school, like all of the kids like are interested in it.
Right.
It's not in the paranormal community, but in the open, it's a very like accepted thing almost. Before
Yeah.
yeah,
It's totally
it
different
was
now.
like, you're a ghost hunter. Are you okay?
Yeah.
But it's
Mainstream media
Yeah.
and the internet has really changed what the paranormal means to people now, you know? Yeah, younger people, it's just something that's always been in their lives now, but when we were their age, it was taboo to talk about it, you know, much less investigate it.
Yeah. John, let me ask you this question too. And you talked about, some of the traumatic experiences that you had that, again, out of the sake of yourself, your family, you stepped away. Years ago, I had a team member, Stephanie, who, upon witnessing her first full body apparition at the St. Augustine Old Jail, quit on the spot. I said, but this is what we do. These are the things that we are hoping to be able to experience. You've just experienced that. Nope, done, finished, did not want to come back to it. But from the risk factor, as I said before, we have to assume and accept the risk within this field. How would you relay a message to those out there who are not necessarily faking, but embellishing on the experiences that they are having for the sake of viewership, for the sake of likes? Is there some sort of a spiritual condemnation coming their way if they continue to go down this path?
I believe so, because I think they'll keep on doing something like this. They'll keep on, oh yeah, I was attacked. Oh, this place is haunted. Let's go check this out, And then there's that risk of maybe something happening where they actually get followed home, and then something actually happening, Or another big thing is playing the Ouija board and thinking, oh, they're doing it with the Ouija board. Let me try it. And that to me is like a big no-no, because you're thinking, I'm making contact with my relatives, and in reality, these demonics still lie, and they'll pretend to be a relative to get access to your place. And then from there, now the nightmare begins, that you let these things in, and now you're being haunted or you're being tortured. And people think it's a joke, but it's not a joke. I've seen things out there, I've experienced it, and for those out there that going out there just for those seeking experience, no, don't do it. It's like it will come back. You will find a place that is haunted, and you may be followed. You may be playing a Ouija board. You may let something in that it's going to be hard to get rid of. And once these things get in, it's hard to get rid of. And most of the demonics, working with Father Bob, it's a battle. And like I said, sometimes I was scratched and pushed. So these things ain't no joke. So these people thinking about it, pretending that, oh, it's cool, but in reality, it's not. So just be careful out there.
Yeah. And Charles, let me ask you a question from a legal standpoint. When we have one of the pillars, I'm trying to say this without choking, in the community, Zach Bagans, who has put the idea out there that he has been possessed in the past, he's dealt with demons in the past, and yet he's got his haunted museum out there in Las Vegas, and he is still making money hand over fist, producing these different shows. What, again, does that mean and say for those younger viewers who are out there? I mean, they're still being broadcast. I think HBO Max now has their shows. And is it, just a dangerous road that people are going to want to emulate? I used to get very upset during the airings of those shows early on when they went to the Villisca Axe Murder House. And in the pitch black darkness, they were up in the attic, and they had an axe standing on its butt over Zach's face, and him saying, "Hit me with the axe. If you're here, hit me with the axe." The liability behind that, when you have people who have that type of notoriety and other people following and wanting to emulate them, how dangerous is that for our field? How dangerous is it for people who think that that's their claim to fame?
It's actually extremely dangerous. Talk about opening up to lawsuits, because we know people, look at TikTok, people will copy others and often will get severely hurt and or killed. There's been some instances where people have been shot for trying to copy people.
The laundry pods,
It's like, supposedly I'll just create a scenario just to give an idea. Somebody is like, oh, this location is filled with demons or something like that. And so these people started to go show up there, and it turns out there's somebody who lives there who owns a gun. And, that's not a demon. That's like a worse person, worse entity. Or doing stunts like that with axes and talk. It's just a lawsuits waiting to happen. I don't know if they can actually. It's kind of like that Tide Pod situation where people, you don't blame. Sometimes people have to take responsibility for their own stupidity, but we get that you also have to take responsibility that, especially with para celebrities, there's a lot of younger generations who want to emulate them and be like them. And, they will start copying stuff and, can really cause problems.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of it, people are looking for originality in this field, and that's kind of a risky thing too. I remember we having a guest on, this is going back 6 or 7 years, but they're New York ghost hunters, and the lead investigator said, the one thing that I would love to do is to get absolutely trash drunk and get possessed by a demon.
Why? I don't understand.
I ripped into him. I said,
Yeah.
do you understand the implications of what you're talking about? It's not getting ripped drunk and getting beaten up in an alley. This is going to be a lifelong torture for you. And but that, again, it's let me be the first. What can I do to make me the first? Scott Grunwald, may he rest in peace, was like, I'm going to do this naked. Okay, that's what you want to do. That's going to draw your attention. That's going to be your little, your little entertainment angle within the paranormal. But I just don't understand where they come from that. Let me ask each of you a very simple question with a very difficult answer. And we'll start, Charles, just what we have on screen. We'll go across. What is your definition of para-unity?
My definition is this sort of gathering of like-minded people to bring about a greater good in the paranormal field. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as para-unity. Part of it is, again, we have a different belief. People with different belief systems are colliding. So whether it's religious, cultural, how, you can't do this, you can't do this. And so there's no, the idea of consensus, but honestly, I don't see that in the paranormal community at all. I think it's, you got to do it my way if you don't agree with me, so, and like I said, even in this chat, this conversation, there's definitely stuff I'm, totally disagreeing with 100%. And so I, can't get behind that kind of paranormal idea. So, I mean, there's no such thing as paranormal unity, but I guess there is a way we can find a common consensus and bring about a greater good for the field.
Gotcha. All right, Tom?
Yeah, I kind of agree with what Charles is saying. I mean, I would love para-unity to be where we all just agree to respect each other and not try to tear each other down or be negative towards each other. But I feel like we still owe it to each other to be objective, because scientists don't have unity. If a scientist says, oh, I figured this out, well, he didn't figure it out until he shows it to all his peers, and then they have a chance to look at it, and then they compare notes, and that's how they end up coming together to define something. So, in paranormal, you would need to do something like that. You'd have to have respect for each other, but you can't just say, no, I'm right, you're wrong. You just have to say, here's the data I have. You take it, see if you come to the same conclusion as me. And if you do, then let's show it to someone else and see what they think. And to me, that would be para-unity, is to work together to find an answer, as opposed to always thinking that you found the answer.
John, to you, and John, do you think that the real fragmentation in that statement, para-unity, comes to the individual factor, meaning those who come in and are dramatic about their investigation versus those that are more scientifically method?
Definitely. I like what Charles and Tom said. I believe that working together, no drama. Like I find something, okay, this is what I found. Let's see what you find, and compare evidence. Maybe work together, and then maybe bring other groups involved. But the fact of get out there and work together instead of causing drama, like oh, I caught this or I caught that. Um, so it's definitely in the perfect para unity world that we're free of trauma, we're free just getting out there, just getting along and working together. And that's how I see it.
All right. Sarah, is the para unity kind of like being a parent?
One thing with parenting is you take different personalities and they'll clash with each other, but you have to figure out a way to listen to others that have different opinions of you, respect them, respect to disagree with them, but the way that you get to a conclusion is by listening to other people, to not necessarily agree with other people, but to respectfully listen to other people and try to understand where they're coming from. Why do they believe this? Why do they think this way versus this other way? So I think like it's a lot of almost a balancing act, with at least with parenting.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that again, where I have a bit of a hard time, and again, I would like everyone's take on this too, is where I've felt like at this point in time, the entire paranormal community, each individual involved as an investigator, everybody's been tilting at windmills and looking to discover the greatest piece of evidence. Now, recently, events have come to light, and there's been a lot of perspective of finally we can move forward in this field. Finally, we've got purpose behind this. Even when I was still privileged enough to go do lectures with Andrea Perrin, one of the things I constantly brought up was, look, we've all had experiences. We can all say, uh, as far as I'm concerned, those who are in the field can all say definitively that we believe that spirits exist. What they are, how they exist, we're still trying to discover. But we need to move forward. And what do we do with this evidence rather than continue to build on it? And each person, again, is just doing their own individual work to say, okay, now I caught this audio, I caught this video, I caught this picture, and that's great, that's wonderful. But I think it's been somewhat established. What do we do with it is what I have come to an impasse with, And again, we were looking at just recently, and then too much controversy in the field, that the messages were the simplest ones coming back. Our loved ones telling us that they're okay and that we should be okay and we should go on with our life as they are watching over us. I think it's a beautiful message. I really do. If that is the end all be all, then I think that's where we should move forward on. But with this collaborative evidence, and Sarah will go again from top left to right for this answer. What should be the ultimate goal for this field? What are we not stepping towards next? What is still missing with all of this being collected and collaborated and the evidence being out there, whether it's on social media or in private external drives at home, that we are still missing the next evolution of this field? Where should it go? Where is it supposed to go?
See, with me, that's a hard question because I got out of it so many years ago that.
But you can still, from a spectator perspective, wish for the next evolution.
Well, the way in science, in science, you have to enable to actually prove something, you have to have this, and you have to have people that take it apart, put it back together. So I don't know. It's a hard one, because I mean, where can it really go? I almost see it like at like a crossroads of that. There's these investigators that want the proof, that want to, I guess, further the field, but there's the other ones that want the notoriety. And like it's kind of like, what, I don't know. I don't really know what direction things should go in, honestly.
Yeah, Charles, the ultimate goal would be to have either a location, a procedure, or a piece of equipment, or an individual who could provide consistency in this field. Where that would have become a reality, what would that set up for us? Would it still have to be under the scrutiny of science at that point? Or are we just now talking about, hey, it's no different than what a psychic does? Psychic gives you these messages from the other side. Now we're getting EVPs from the other side. Now we're getting spirit box from the other side. But are we really talking to someone else? Is it something more psychological? Are we still so immersed in all of that that we can't get to the top and find out, yes, we're making the communication?
Yeah. I think part of the problem, I mean, especially because ultimately I think a lot of people in the paranormal field want to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt, which generally means scientifically, which I think is going to be either impossible to do, or maybe we shouldn't do either. I could just imagine the chaos proving if the afterlife does exist. I'm not saying either way it does. What kind of chaos this would do in our world if the afterlife does exist? Because, I wouldn't be surprised if you have like people killing themselves left and right, religious wars popping up all over the place and stuff.
Yes.
And you also just have to take into consideration that maybe our ultimate end goal when it comes to proving the paranormal is that maybe we prove that it doesn't exist. I mean, maybe I am kind of like, I didn't raise my hand earlier because I'm still kind of on the border whether ghosts actually do or don't exist. And so, but when you go with the scientific approach, which is generally the ultimate idea to get beyond the idea of fate and wishful thinking and just personal beliefs, then you kind of have to like really strip it down and try to find way. I know there was somebody in chat, Dover has been making a lot of good points about hypothesis and control and being subjective. You kind of have to grow and learn and how to make it tangible for scientists and other people to look at it saying, yes, ghosts or spirits 100% exist. I don't think we're there yet, in my personal opinion, whether either way. But I mean, I do admire people for continuing to do it, and hopefully they will find either, the truth either way.
Tom, let me have you answer that same question, but also tether the end result or end game to that kind of discovery or evidence. How and it's almost inevitable that whatever is discovered, whatever would be proven, would obviously be misused governmentally, religiously, be misused. But again, what's our next evolution here that we're missing?
Well, when it comes to investigating, the next evolution, you got to go full science. I mean, I can't see any other direction. You got to take personal beliefs and religion and things like that out of it completely. And you got to take the fun out of it. People get into this because they think it's going to be fun. They think they might have a thrill. And you got to focus on data, just endless amounts of data. And it's all got to be peer reviewed with other people. You have to try and repeat things. It's very, very difficult because paranormal is not something that can be controlled, and it's not something that you can predict. And so that's what makes it really hard for the scientific community to even want to get involved, because it goes against all their principles in a way. But if we ever did prove that there is an afterlife, see, I'm not of the belief that spirits are afterlife, or that, I feel like there could be many other answers. There could be It could be another dimension. It could be, something biological in our brains that we haven't touched on yet. There are a lot of things scientifically in this world in our lives that we haven't discovered or even begun to understand. And what we're understanding to be ghosts could be part of something like that. It could be completely quantum physics or something. So we may end up discovering what it is we're investigating. We may discover what it is accidentally someday by somebody looking for something else. And then we'll be like, oh, that's the voices we were hearing. It was string theory or something. So that's where I think it's going to end up. I don't necessarily think it's going to end up being an afterlife. Perhaps, maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, it'll change everything. Just like, we're probably not too many years away from finding out that there's life on other planets. And that's going to change a lot of beliefs on this planet, especially when it comes to religion and history and things like that. If we find out that, yes, our government has captured aliens and UFOs, that's going to change a lot of things too.
Oh, yeah.
So that will be, I think, a precursor to what would happen to humankind if we found out that, spirits or ghosts or whatever you want to call them are actually real and we're actually having these experiences.
And finally, John, religion, demons, they're a man-made construct. To be able to progress forward, a lot of that will have to be not necessarily ignored, but looked beyond, in that sense that if the afterlife in the evolution of this field is given validation, then it has to be considered at that point in time. Well, there are, like we talk about, good and bad people, good and bad spirits, multidimensional. People are looking at this at a deeper and deeper and deeper level, including extraterrestrials getting involved with regards to this. Do you ever see a time that we can separate the two, the science and the religion in this field?
That's a tough one. It's tough. Science and religion is always going to be there. It's always be a conversation. Like I said, like dealing with demonics, that's what is demonics. People like say it could have been aliens, it could have been some type of entities, demons from the underworld. And people have their opinions on that. And with science and religion, it's always that battle. That they say one thing, scientists can prove some things. Religious got their own versions of, like, they go by the words, and like ghost hunting, like we got evidence that we go by. Sometimes it's kind of tough to go. I can't present a ghost to you, but I can present pictures and maybe EVPs, and that's the best I could do compared to like actually capturing a ghost and making it spawn and bringing it up to you. So the fact that science and religion is really is a tough battle, and that's all I can say on that one right now.
And finally, do you think Han Solo should have shot first?
Yes, he should.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for that round of a quick shot and responses and answers on that. I appreciate it. Mr. DaCosta.
Yeah, not a question for the panel. I just want to jump in on the science thing, see what you all think, seeing as how we went in that direction. When we're talking about investigation of the spirit realm, for the most part, we're talking about contacting humans, right? I think everybody agrees on that. We're trying to contact humans. But I think in using the scientific method, we have to understand that humans are volatile creatures, right? Everybody doesn't react the same way. We have good days, bad days. We're happy, we're sad, we're depressed, we're joyous, right? It's the gamut of human emotions. If we take those characteristics into an afterlife, understand that things like atoms and neutrons are going to react in a consistent way to a stimulus. Human beings may not react the same way to the same stimulus. Do you follow what I'm saying? So a lot of times when we say scientific, it's got to be scientific. I think you have to understand the subjects that you're dealing with, because we run the gamut of human emotions. It's like, I don't want to talk today. Tomorrow I may talk. You may say something that I respond in a negative way, I'm talking about in the spirit realm, if such a thing exists, where the same question that triggered someone may make someone else laugh. So I just think we have to take that into consideration when we start saying it's got to be scientific. It's got to be scientific, because I mean, archaeologists will tell you that the world is their laboratory, and the world is a volatile place, you know. So I just wanted to say, if anybody wants to come back at me on that a little bit, you're welcome to do so. But I just wanted to, you know, voice another 5-cent opinion on
I don't want to get fired again.
Oh, yeah, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
I think there's only one way we're ever going to know the answers, and nobody wants to go that way.
I'm not in a hurry. Thank you very
Exactly.
much. I appreciate your time.
We'll all know the answer eventually, but let's not rush to it.
Yeah. So my question to you here, the time we have left remaining, a simple one. Is this an endeavor that is worth pursuing, even if you personally aren't pursuing it? I don't mean it in terms of people can do whatever they want. I'm talking
general.
like for an honest answer here. Do you feel this is something worth pursuing, even if maybe you choose not to be a part of it? Okay, top on down. John, what do you think?
I think it is, because, like I said, each investigation is different. Each experience is different. It's like you're going fishing. One time you may not catch nothing. The next time you go fishing, you may catch 100 fishes. So, and like I said, this is something I've been into for a very, very long time. You know, I've been with teams for about 16 years, investigating with teams. But I've been studying paranormal for over 20 years. You know, ever since 10 years old, having my first personal experiences. And this has always been a part of me. Even though, you know, taking my time off, I do find a piece of me missing it, you know, and just to get back out there, just help people out, you know, help prove things, just continue giving the evidence. And to me, it's just something that I love doing. You know, like I said, I've been doing it for a very long time, and I miss it. And hopefully, when things get better, I hope I'll be able to get out there and just get the evidence and continue helping people out.
Yeah, Sarah, what say you?
So I think it is important to further investigate and everything. I think a lot of people still, like, they are afraid. They're trying to understand what's going on to them. They don't want to feel weird for things that are going on with them. So to further investigate, might be putting some sort of, like, it might help. It might help people be more comfortable, like in their own situations and stuff. Yeah, things have gotten crazy on TV, whatever, investigating. But when you boil everything down, the paranormal is supposed to be about helping people and understanding something you can't understand. So to help somebody understand that is kind of important to help people.
Yeah, understood completely. Charles?
I'm going to say yes and no. I think it's human nature to sort of wonder about the meaning of life, our place in the universe, is there life after death? But then I also say no, because ultimately you just got to live in the now. And I think, maybe in my opinion, ultimately, I don't think it matters if there is anything, if there is life or there isn't life. Ultimately, you got to pay your taxes and go to work the next day, and you just can't keep worrying about it. But like I said, it is human nature to sort of wonder about the world at hand. And that's it. I know we're kind of caught short on time.
No, we've been doing it since the beginning of the millennia.
Yeah.
It's been that long. And Tom, what do you think?
I think we absolutely should continue to investigate it. It's what humans have always done. We've always looked for answers, belief in the afterlife has been going on since the beginning of humans. And every culture, every person, every part of the world, there are people who believe they've had paranormal experiences. So there is something going on. And I think we owe it to ourselves to find out what it is, to explore that area of our life. We choose to do things not because they're easy, but because they're hard, type of thing. We explore space, we look for UFOs, we hunt for Bigfoots. We should keep doing them all, and try and get the answers to these things.
If nothing else, it gets us out of the house, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it gets us working together a little too,
So, I mean, this is kind of a yes or no, but have you ever looked down on anyone who walked away from all of this because maybe they've had a negative experience? Like someone just gets afraid. It's like, I don't want to know. I don't want to go there. I can't acclimate myself to this.
Oh, negative, like during an investigation, like something scared them?
Sure. Like in a case
Oh,
like
yeah.
John, you see something and you're like, no, I'm out.
No, absolutely
People
not.
do
No.
that. Because I've seen people do that. It's like, well, what the hell? That's what we're here for, and it's not for everyone.
No.
So if you were to sum this all up, if you are teaching your class and all of these people out there that have all this turmoil and obsession to the point where they act out of character, if you're standing up in front of them, what do you say to them as far as whether it's the infighting or people walking away or being, I should be more specific in saying, forced to walk away from a situation? They may come back another way with a different group or maybe doing it on their own, but what do we need to do to calm down a little bit here?
And we're going to save that for our after show conversation because we are completely out of time. So
it's
we
a
ran
cliffhanger.
into it. Exactly. Which again prompts the panel to please don't hang up. Stay with us. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight on kgradb.com or right here on YouTube. Do not forget to check out our Patreon now. We would love you guys to become members, and we've got some great and interesting upcoming things for you guys to exclusively get a chance to check out with us. That's patreon.com/Dead Air Paranormal. I want to thank our panel for joining us tonight, and thank you all for viewing. We'll see you again next week, same time. Until then, have a great rest of your week. Thanks for watching, and good night.